Now, the reason there was a by-election in Runcorn and Helsby last week was because the former MP, Mike Amesbury, was given a prison sentence. You remember maybe the footage of him repeatedly punching a constituent. He spent 3 nights behind bars.
Well, the by-election saw the constituency change from being a safe Labour seat to now having an MP from Reform UK. So how does Mike Amesbury reflect on what has happened, both politically and personally? He joins us now on the sofa. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you both.
Should we start with the by-election result? I imagine you were up watching it on TV and you saw the declaration, it becoming a Reform UK seat. What did you think? What was it like to see that?
Well, really disappointing. It's been a difficult few months for me personally, and obviously in terms of my career and livelihood and reputation. It's a mistake I've certainly owned, but to see that result, it was a seat which just 10 months ago, I was celebrating, I had a majority of nearly 15,000, won 3 elections in total. And I went in to vote early in the morning in the fraction pack, and that was surreal, put my name against another Labour candidate. So, yeah, extremely disappointed by the results, not only in Runcorn and Helsby constituency, but throughout the country.
It's a story of loss, really, isn't it? Because you have lost a since the events and since your conviction. Just for people watching at home, just tell us what's changed in your life now. Well,
I'll start off first and foremost that, I apologise obviously to Mr. Fellows, who is the victim here. I did wrong, and I've owned it. So I put forward the case of, look, there's a lesson here, there's a start lesson. If you get things wrong, this is what can happen. So in terms of my career, my livelihood, indeed the family home as well, that's had to go on the market. I hope to learn from this, and I don't know what I'm going to do at the moment, but do something, I hope, positive and good in life to help others.
What kind of things? How do you want to turn it around? What could you imagine yourself doing?
I've been a careers advisor in the past, managed careers teams. So I've always been around public service as well as being a member of Parliament. I would have loved to have been remembered for actually bringing in a private members bill to reduce the cost of school uniforms. Of course, I put forward an amendment it was in the manifesto, to tackle that even more. So something which is people focused. I don't know. Obviously, I've been dealing with, let's say, the after effects of this, and it has affected my health. I'm on an improvement journey as well. So yeah, something good.
When you say an improvement journey, what do you mean? What is that?
Okay, well, in terms of it's affected my mental health, so depression and anxiety, which has been with me for some time now. But I've received fantastic help and support through the National Health Service. So, sing their praises. Of course, they could always do with more frontline staff. I know certainly the government is going in the right direction on that. But that's certainly support I've received. And people reaching out as well, friends and former colleagues behind the scenes. It's been helpful.
I'm sure there'll be some people watching this morning who think, why have we had you on today? Who think, why are we giving a platform to somebody who broke the law and did wrong and has been punished, and that other people who do the same don't get the same opportunity? Can you understand why some people will be angry that you get a chance to go on telly and say sorry and try to make amends?
Like you say, it's difficult for anyone, I suppose. It's to come on TV and reinforce my remorse, but also at least I can have the platform say, I've owned it, I've done wrong, I've made a mistake. The consequence of what you do. The charity one punch, they're exactly right. in what they say. And
Which
and
is,
yeah.
what did they say?
Basically, one punch can kill, and it can. And there, for the grace of God, that didn't happen. So, you know, that message, and look at the consequences. In terms of me, you know, I went from the green benches of the House of Commons to the hard wooden benches of prison. Now, that's life's great tapestry, but it's also, well, it's a consequence of what I did, you know, in terms of my career, my reputation. So I'm going to rebuild. But that's the message.
Because you lost your temper in a violent way. Would you have ever thought of yourself as a violent person?
No, but clearly on that night I look at myself. I don't recognise myself, but it's me. So you know, it took me 55 years to be on the wrong side of the law. I'm 56 today. It's my birthday today, you know, I will never be on the wrong side of the law again, and I'll deal with.
When you see these pictures of the incident, I mean, you're looking away. It's almost like you can hardly look at them. I mean,
yes.
What do you see when you see these pictures?
I don't recognise myself. I don't recognise. Well, I do. It's me, but yes, it's you know, I've owned that mistake, and I regret for every single day of my life that I didn't walk away. But I did what I did, and I've paid the price, and that's what people do.
Was it usual for constituents to approach you?
Yes, but not at 2:10 in the morning. But certainly not usual for me to react the way I did. Doesn't matter if somebody verbally threatens you or anything such as that, then walk away. And it's what I've done in the past. You know, I had a stalker who even turned up to my plea hearing. You know, and that anxiety levels are up with that. Of course, we've had members of Parliament that have actually been killed and so forth. But you know, that's a context, but it's no excuse for what I did.
You said right at the beginning of this interview that you apologised to Paul Fellows, the man that you hit, but he told the Mail on Sunday that he hasn't received a personal apology from you so far. Is that right? Have you tried to approach him or tried to...
Yes, so through the probation service, I've spoke about mediation. Yeah, so I said it's for them to arrange that, police and Mr. Fellows. In terms of apologies, I've done it very, very publicly. I
guess maybe he wants it privately as well. Maybe look you in the eye and sit down, but that would have to be arranged.
Yes, absolutely.
But you're up for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Reform have your former seat now. It's the ultimate disaster for you, isn't it, really?
Reform getting that seat. Look, obviously my mistake, give people the opportunity to vote in a by-election, but overturning nearly a 50,000 majority isn't simply on my shoulders. If we look at Durham, which, you know, Durham miners gala and so forth, where there's been certainly Labour losses up and down the country, and on the doorstep, it would be well documented, but on the doorstep for months and months has been winter fuel allowance, and now you're picking up personal independence payments. Way back in September the 11th, I laid an early day motion, and that was to deal with the threshold of pension credit and winter fuel allowance. I hope, I've seen the reports on the BBC Breakfast this morning that the Prime Minister and obviously the Chancellor seem to be looking at that. I sincerely hope that is the case, because, you know, I've owned my mistakes, but the Prime Minister and the Chancellor need to own their political mistakes in terms of winter fuel, and I'll say to backbench MPs, personal independent payments. I know you'll be looking at the finer details. That It's a big issue in Runcorn and Helsby and right throughout the country. You know, the Labour Party and the Labour government, if it's serious about having a second term, and I sincerely want it to have a second term, I'm not a Labour Party member anymore, but I do sincerely want them to actually make Britain a fairer, more prosperous society for all. It's not going to happen unless they're humble, they listen and they respond. They respond positively to the people of this country.
It's hard to play hypotheticals, but if you hadn't left in the circumstances that you did, if the by-election in Runcorn last week had been for completely separate reasons, nothing to do with the sitting MP, do you think Labour could still have lost it because of the kind of policies you're talking about, lost it to reform?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been fed back for months and months to the leadership of the party at the moment. Find it within your hearts to start listening to constituents, first and foremost, the people of this country, but also Labour MPs, many on the backbenches who, they don't want to put the Labour Party, the Labour government in a difficult position by coming out public. I know more and more are. Look, we've got to do the right thing. If we're to stop reform being the depository for protest votes, then don't ape reform on immigration and asylum. If we look across Europe, centre-left parties try to do that and they've paid a price. People will vote for the real deal. I think there's a real issue there, but listen, learn and respond.
I think the Prime Minister, if he's watching, will be pretty annoyed to hear you equating what you did and your mistake with what you perceive to be his mistake in winter fuel payments.
No, I'm not putting that on a parity, but I am saying very loud and clear, look, I've owned the biggest mistake of my life and I've paid a price and rightfully so. I would really hate to see the Labour government just being a one-term government. I would want to see a progressive Labour government in the future.
Mike Amesbury, thanks very much for coming in to talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.